Hi guys, we are here. This is Başak.
Here we are. This is Kate.
Hey Kate, how are you doing today? It's an exciting day for us.
It is an exciting day. I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I can't wait to speak to Nitza. We have our first guest of our program.
I know. It's very exciting. Nitza, I've known Nitza for a long time, so I'm very pleased that she agreed to join us. So it should be
And
fun.
today's topic is beautiful topic. It's a very broad topic. It's called Creative Woman Unbounded. So, there's a lot to cover there. And so before further ado, do you want to introduce Nitza for everyone?
Yes. Should we bring her on or should I just read?
Course, let me
Is
just
she there? Let's see.
bring her on. Let's see. And the video.
Are you there? Are you there? Yay! Hello, Nitza. Welcome.
Hi, Nitsa.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here on Women Enlightened. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have been invited to speak. I'm just delighted to see both of you.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me do a little bio about my friend Nitza. So Nitza Wilon, she co-founded the Writers Lab with Elizabeth Caden in 2015. I'm going to say their mission, just so everyone knows, is to ignite the power of women and non-binary screenwriters over 40 and activate the media industry to broaden the range of storytelling across all visual platforms. So Nitza and her partner Elizabeth produce the flagship lab, which is based here in New York, and they produce labs in the UK, Europe, Canada, and they do global virtual programming for audiences in Africa, Australia, and more. Prior to committing to script development for women, Nitza was an actor, how we met, a journalist, and magazine and book editor. In addition to her work advocating for women in film, Nitza is a writer and a voice actor. She lives in New York City with her family. Boom.
That is I. There it is. Hi, everyone. That's all.
That's a lot, I have to say.
Yeah, very accomplished.
Oh, that's so nice. Of course, I, on the one hand, sort of I vacillate. I think, I'm proud of the work I do, but I always feel like there's so much more, right? And isn't that sort of the constant conversation we have in our heads about the work that we do, whether it's creative or not?
Yes.
It's very
But
true.
let's talk about the work that you are doing right now. You have been doing, and my first question is going to be, what inspired you to start this organization and how this idea came about?
Well, I think, some of it has to do with that question of what am I doing, right? Am I doing enough to feed what I care about, right? And so this was, I guess, about 12 years ago, and I was in the company of women who were also in one way or another in the film industry, whether they were writing or directing or producing. And we were all past a certain age and sort of tired of the fact that everything we saw, even as an actor, everything that I was in, it was so limiting and limited. The roles were sort of the same thing over and over for women, a sort of focus on youth and just a limited kinds of roles. And we wanted more. We wanted so much more. We figured that the way to make more stories was to go right to the source, writers.
Yeah.
And so we knew that there were plenty of women and non-binary writers out there writing stories for film and TV that were populated by people that looked like me and us. We knew that they were out there, and we decided to follow the example of a lot of other respected organizations and essentially have a contest and draw attention to the fact that there are lots of scripts out there, and then from the contest gather a small group of really, really good writers and projects, and then go have a retreat with them with a lot of experts so that they could be nurtured and incubated, and then say to the world, look what we have. We have such incredible writers, such incredible projects. Pay
And how
attention.
many people, it's amazing, how many scripts do you remember the first year you did it? How many people submitted scripts?
Yeah, it was insane. We were only taking features at that time, not features and television shows.
Right.
And we got 3,500, 3,500.
Oh, wow.
Wow, the very first year. So how many now?
Well, now we get much less. We get
Oh,
about 1,000 a year. And the reason was because we hit a nerve that first year,
Wow.
right? And there were so many women out there, women over 40, who had these stories in their drawers, in their computers, wherever. They just had stories they'd been writing and writing and writing. And so when we announced, we had partnered with some other respectable organizations. We'd also had, a celebrity or two speak up for us and support us.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of focus on what we were doing. And
Wow.
the writers
that's
just
amazing.
sent
So
us scripts, sent us their scripts, but yeah, we couldn't
that
take
was
it.
going to be my question when you said there has been some celebrity sponsorship, but what type of support did you receive or lack of it throughout this journey?
Yeah.
Well, so right off the bat, we knew that we had, in order to get what is validity? Is that a word? The validity
Yes, I
we were
guess
doing.
so.
We decided to partner ourselves with New York Women in Film and Television, which is for women in media in the New York area, and also the Writers Guild of America East. And the Writers Guild of America East is all about media writers. So we partnered with them as well, and they spoke up for us and they advertised for us, and we interviewed them, and they mentored at our labs, and we just sort of mixed it up with them. And then at the same time we reached out to a celebrity who we noticed that it was Meryl Streep. We decided to take a big swing,
Good.
and
See,
Talking
that is
celebrity.
inspired. That's why
uh,
not,
well,
right?
she did it for us. It was totally coincidence. We were watching the Oscars, and she was up there, and she was supporting Patricia Arquette, who was talking about equality of representation
I
in
remember that.
Hollywood. And when Meryl Streep stood up, we looked at each other and said, "Should we? Yeah, let's do it. Why? I mean, what do we have to lose, right? Maybe we could just get. What is she going to send police after us and arrest us for daring to reach out to her?" Now, the worst that would happen is that we would get ghosted. But she answered and she said, "Sure, I'll help out."
See, but okay, so you definitely hit a nerve. Like this was needed, right? This was something that women were looking for, creative people were looking for.
I
So,
don't,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, finish your
Oh,
sentence.
well, I was going
I-
to say that. So, as you've watched women come in and participate in these labs that you've had over the years, what is it in terms of creativity have you seen, particularly in women over 40, that you've had to nurture or sort of bring out so that they are successful, whatever successful is? Like, have you seen that change since you started 10 years ago? Is it the same thing? What are you seeing just to bring it to women and creativity?
like it's such a good question, and it's such a layered question, because first of all, there's the question of defining success.
Mm.
We could
Yes.
have an entire hour discussion about that, but really, in brief, I think one thing we all have to do is recognize that success has many faces. It's not necessarily money, it's not necessarily fame, right? I don't need to explain. We're all intelligent here in this small room, but also in the world. We understand that when I say success looks many different ways, we know what that means.
Mhm.
Um, but, and I think that is a big thing we talk about, expectations, right? Because I think a lot of people have this, they sometimes allow themselves to be limited by what success means. And then they become very discouraged if they don't hit this idea of success. And they're like, I can't meet that level of success. So yeah, I'm just going to stop.
I'm not going to even try. Right.
Right, exactly, exactly. And so we work on ideas of success. We work on this question of, I mean, I have so many answers here. We work on this idea of not asking permission,
Mm.
right? Not asking for an invitation or permission. You just have to be very brave. And I
Mm.
think, to me, one thing we talk about too is that what is bravery? Bravery is fear, is doing something just even if you're afraid. That's
Mhm.
what bravery is. Bravery is doesn't live alone. It has a symbiotic relationship with
Mhm.
fear.
Duality. We talk
Yeah,
about in yoga about duality all the time. So it's that duality. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that fear is sort of can be a wonderful thing. I think that if you understand it, if you have compassion for it, I think, again, another long conversation. Fear can lead you to cause harm, but it can also lead you to make things of great beauty and importance. And I think we try to tell people that fear doesn't mean you're not equipped for this. It means you are.
Mm.
Use it and be brave, right?
It's
Accept.
like, in yoga culture, we say, if you can dream it, it's only a matter of time for it to be a reality.
Indeed,
You have the capacity of imagining it, visualizing it, right?
indeed, indeed. So we talk about success, we talk about fear, we talk about um, you know, sort of we use bad words, so I'm not going to throw it. We talk about not caring so much about what people think, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That I think it's so important sometimes that we follow ideas of what is acceptable and or beautiful, or in addition to success. It's very hard. It's very hard to just say, I am enough. It's such a simple thing. I'm
Yeah.
enough. But wow, is that hard?
Yeah.
Um,
Can I just interject here that I think you're not only helping people with their writing, you're just helping them being people, you know? It's interesting.
we talk about that a lot too. Some
Yeah.
people in a both negative and positive way after we do our work with them, in these days together, they'll say it's therapy. And sometimes they say it in a good way, and sometimes they say it in a way that you can tell that they're uncomfortable, you know. And I say it is and it isn't, because it's more just uh looking inside,
Right.
right?
So beautiful,
Yeah.
from the yogic perspective, creativity is not a skill to be learned, but it's a natural state of being. So, in order to tap that state, we do all these practices in yoga, and that's exactly what you're talking about, just letting go, shedding off those external emotions and, almost belief systems, and then just connecting to your essence.
Mhm.
I love that, because I think that every human being is an artist in some way or another. It
Mhm.
might not be, some people take a piece of wood and they make it into a shape, or they put color on it.
Mhm.
Some people make a sound from their body. It doesn't to
Yeah.
create be so easy. But
My
I think
brother, can I just interject? My brother is a computer programmer, and he used to call himself a code choreographer.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that cute?
Cute. The kids are
Very
cute.
sweet.
So.
as you know, my son also codes. And the
Yes.
thing about code is that there's no one way to do it.
Right.
So it's creative.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so exciting. And we tell people to be accepting of themselves, to change their expectations, to be gentle, and also to just a little bit. If you sit down in front of a computer and you have to start a writing project,
Mm.
who doesn't want to go right back to bed,
Yeah.
right?
Or
So
clean the house or do the laundry.
or play with my cat. But I'll just say,
Wait, are
okay,
you talking from an experience? It sounds like.
right? So just put just one word, one little word, right? And if you need to go and dance to a song after that first word, do that. And then a second one. So be tough on yourself, but also be kind to yourself.
Right. You
And
need discipline. You do
uh,
need discipline, right? Yes.
Yeah.
so yeah, on the other side of that is, of course, if you put one word and then you dance the rest of the day, and you continue doing that day after day, maybe you need more discipline than that. But and right, it's always balance, isn't it? It's the balance
Yes.
of kindness and gentle expectations, but also believing that you can be strong and committed, and that you have it all here, all these ideas, and
And that your voice matters. That's a big thing, isn't it? Yeah, your voice matters, what you have to say, you know.
are
Being your
all
best advocate, right? That's always the thing for us to continuously replenish almost. How can I be my best advocate?
Yeah.
it's hard
Yeah.
to, I think, also role, sort of like standard, very, very entrenched role models for women. Often women find themselves caring for others.
Yeah.
It's 2025, but these patterns are age old and very entrenched, and it's very hard and I struggle with it every day. I have a spouse, I have offspring, I have animals, I have a world that seems to be suffering around me. What right have I to pay attention to myself and my silly little writing? But you can't do that. You have to allow yourself. My husband always says in the airplane, they say, put your mask on first and then help the person. If you are the stronger and more beautiful inside you are,
Mhm.
or you can do that work of helping other people. So we talk about that too.
And
Yep.
this is so beautiful because if you are not connecting to your essence and you are just letting the life's conditions determine the direction of your life or what you are going to do that day, let's say, right? You're not really able to find the connectedness because there's a reservoir of creativity flows within the universe. We call this as prana in yoga, right? Prana is a vital energy. It is the universal life force, but it also source of thoughts and activities and creativity. And if you don't allow yourself to tap into that, you're just basically, you're not experiencing this freedom to be creative.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think absolutely. I think that you're also, what you say is so important. It's so important for me to hear your words. Just, even me after all these years working on this, I need to hear it myself.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is this reservoir and you just have to believe that even if it isn't going to reach millions of people, right? It's still important that it reaches you because then it's more likely that it actually will flow.
Yeah.
This brought me something.
Beautiful.
My husband is a healer, and when he does sessions, he used to play this certain music. In every session, he loves that music. And some people, told him in sessions, like, what is that music? I don't like that music. Can you please play something else? And he would say, I'm not playing it for you. I'm playing it for me. I can't connect, so I can connect you.
You. Yes.
So
Yeah.
you give to yourself first to reach out to
Yeah.
others, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Yeah.
It it's also when I hear that though, I think about the bravery it takes, talking of bravery, to care for yourself,
Right.
right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's
You.
very hard for me to identify with that, for me to, because I think about teaching yoga, and if I used to teach with music, and sometimes students were like, oh, I don't like that. And I'd be like, oh, let me change it. Let me change it. Please you, please you. Now I just don't do music, but it takes a lot to have such a strong center, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say also about the way genders deal with that differently. Here we are, women talking about women. I do encourage women to what we call take up more space.
Oh, I
Yes.
love that. This
Yes.
was a theme for me last class I taught actually. Please take more space in your
Mm.
mat.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
Talk
Yeah.
more about that, Nitza.
Just about, people so ready to not speak what they feel, not speak what they think, not speak what they need, because that has been the message that our function here, sometimes on this earth, is to care for others, to make sure that others'
Service. Yeah.
well-being,
Mhm.
uh, and that somehow focusing on yourself is selfish.
Mm.
And the meaning, sort of like redefining what success means, redefining what selfish means. Selfish is not necessarily a bad word.
Mhm.
It can be, sure, but it can also be, I'm taking some time for myself to be stronger so that I can help more, or just so that I can feel better. I can feel good.
So,
The end of helping someone else, just to
what
feel.
I have another question popped up. What advice would you give people who are very creative, but they deal with all this, having the need to serve and help others and think others first, and that therefore there's no time to pursue their passions. I hear this a lot. I have no time, otherwise I would have. So, how do you answer that?
I think it's a summation of everything we talked about. First of all, look inside. Look, see if you can connect with any of these things we were talking about. The fear, the guilt, maybe the judgment, you know, feel like maybe that's what's holding you back, not lack of time. I know for personally, this is what I struggle with every day. This, how can I spend time on my writing when there is so much other important stuff happening with people I love, with people I don't know who are suffering? How do I excuse that? How do I allow myself that?
Isn't that amazing? Like the whole idea of life, according to yoga, is to following your dharma. But we find all the reasons that
Not
other
to.
things are more important than my dharma. Isn't that amazing?
And I
Mhm.
think it is amazing. And I think that if people, and I don't know anything about this, so I'm just going to use the word, if I sometimes wonder if people followed their dharma more, would the entire structure be stronger, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You
So,
know,
you, yeah.
there is a quote from Albert Einstein. He says, "Creativity is intelligence having fun."
Mhm. Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
tap into that intelligence, that's where the Dharma lives, right?
Mhm.
To not in the mind, not in the body, but it's in the higher intelligence we find the connection to our Dharma. So but then can we have fun with that and not make it so serious?
Well,
That's
that was one of the
to
things
that.
I was going to answer you when you were saying, what would I say to people who are creative, but they say they don't have the time? The one thing was what we said before, start small. Just give yourself a small goal so that you're not overwhelmed. And then also have fun. Remember, but this is supposed to be joy. So be messy. Be messy. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be perfect.
Yeah.
Just throw something down. In fact, in the work that I do, we call the first draft, we call it the vomit draft.
I like that.
Because we're
Lovely.
there and it's messy and it could be ugly, it could smell bad, but it's okay. It's okay. If you can't embrace the maybe the it's not, I don't think it's ugly. I don't even think vomit is. It's part of us. It's all part of us. Um, if we can't embrace the mess of ourselves, then that's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to keep going. So embrace it. Go start small, embrace the mess.
Mhm.
Um, manage your expectations. Don't wait for permission or invitation. Um, remember your value.
Mm,
Remind yourself often of your value. You're valuable. So
beautiful.
valuable.
Wow.
So just to bring it back to you, so yes, so I know you are creative, you're working on a screenplay and other things you've worked on. So do you follow that? I know you've been saying it's difficult for you, but have you been finding that because of this work you've been doing for 10 years, you're getting better at finding that space for yourself, finding that?
So yeah, it's a weird conundrum. Because on the one hand, the more I know, the more judgmental I become, which is really tricky, right? The more I know, the more I look at my stuff and I go, well, that dialogue is so clunky. What were you thinking? Um, but then I also realized after doing this for 10 years, I realized, wow, I really know a lot. I know a lot.
Mm,
That's
And
great.
that was a fun feeling.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, definitely there's always the duality. There's the duality. But one of the reasons why I love being here with you and why the minute, Kate, you mentioned this, I said absolutely, because this is everything.
Hmm.
Community,
Yes.
connecting with other people who care about the same thing. This is everything because creativity can be very lonely. Or tapping into creativity can be lonely and confusing and scary. And tapping into this kind of conversation is it's like adding blood to your body,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's
Fluid.
inspiration. Yeah.
it's reminder, right? Hearing
Yeah.
from people like you who are in action, who are not just talking, but also putting action behind it. That's so inspiring for our lives.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's my next question. What guidance can you offer to finding supportive organizations like yourself or even building your own to help realize these creative goals?
Well, this is really simple. If you have access to a computer and the internet can be a very large and tall and gangly friend because there's so much of it. But research. If you look up anything, you will find um, writing organizations. You will find communities. It's daunting. But again, be patient. But there are so many resources out there. There are organizations for people in all areas of creativity, and then they'll sometimes often have free programming, and you can just virtual programming. You can just go and listen to people talk about what you do. I think that as
Or
important as
listen to us.
yeah. So I think as important as making creativity, it's being with creative people and listening to creative people and reading about creativity. Not to the exclusion of your own creativity of, of producing, but it's very handy to research and also to read. For us, one of the most important things we tell people writing scripts, whether it's for a feature film or television, is read other scripts. Read,
Yeah.
read, 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 because it's Kate, do you remember when we were acting together, we would talk about learning, learning on the boards. You can go to
Yes.
acting school, or you can just throw yourself in there and get on the stage.
Yeah.
There are ways to learn, all of them valid. And so, as much as yes, you want to take your time, whatever you have, being creative, you also want to build your community and research and learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful, very thoughtful. Um, Anything else that before we close, anything else you want to share with us?
What do I want to share? I guess I just want to share that I think that it is always um, there's always there are a lot of negative feelings that can get in the way of things. And I just want to put out there that I have a lot of compassion and understanding and empathy for how hard it might seem to do something as simple as creating, right? One imagines that if one is a real artist, it just comes out of you. The art
Right.
comes out of you.
Yep.
And if you're the better you are and the more real of an artist you are, it shouldn't be hard, right? It just it's there. You walk around and these things just come out of you, and you sit down and it flows out of you. And how many stories do we read about people who, they're very fortunate. They say, I write from 9 till 2, and then I have lunch, and then I write from 3 till 12. And you think, goody for you. How nice that you have that privilege. That's wonderful. We don't always have it that easy. So I just want to acknowledge that, while I talk about do this and do that, uh, it is difficult and it is challenging.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself, be compassionate, um, and uh, and the more kind you are to yourself, I think the more access you'll have.
It's
And wow,
amazing. Everything that you are talking about is actually all the feminine qualities. And I don't mean by female as a gender, but the quality of being feminine energy, this compassion, this empathy, this patience, right? So, how do we cultivate more of that feminine energy? Because we are all more living in a masculine world and trying to, we are very good at actually being masculine, getting the job done, right? Those are masculine energies. And there's this idea that, female energy is the more creative energy. And that doesn't mean just in women, but also in men who really work on their feminine side can be more creative, bring that creativity more. So it's perfect for our podcast. And thank you so much for bringing this into light. And what an amazing organization that you've built and what you are doing in the world. We are just so in awe and proud of you
Yeah.
as a.
It's amazing. It's
that's just
10 years. It's just, I remember when you said you were starting this thing and it was just like scripts everywhere. And then like you guys are all over the world now and you're bringing this to so many people. It's absolutely,
But I
it's
have to say, it
amazing.
really does take everybody. It's not, I feel constantly just the recognition of the people who help, who work with me, but
Yes.
also we constantly recognize the writers, how brave it is for them to write, how brave it is for them to send us their work to strangers to read it. So brave. So it's
Nitza,
everybody.
would you do me a favor and actually write on the chat board the organization link so that people actually can see it
Yes.
You do
while
that
we are
uh,
talking?
in the
Sorry to
chat.
cut
Yeah,
you off.
we should wind up for, we are
Yeah,
heading to our, we're
yeah.
trying to
As
keep
Nitza
this.
is writing,
Yes.
Kate, let's talk about Homework.
Oh, yes.
So
So
what we got from this?
you really inspired me, Nitza, and she knows I'm working, well, you both know on this never-ending children's book, which is ended, but that
Beautiful.
it needs to. So you've inspired me to, just a few more things that I want to clean up before the next round of submissions. So I'm going to make the space, make the time, despite all the stuff going on, and get that done. So thank you.
Right. And
And
I know from
Good work.
experience that your work is excellent. So yes.
yes, through that.
Thank you. And Bashak, do you have homework?
Well, I think I kind of want to share some of the practices that yoga can provide to tap into our creativity. Is one is stillness. Find the time to be still, right? And so that we can actually let go of the mind stuff. Mind stuff will be there, but can we detach rather than engaging? Can we just witness the mind stuff? And in witnessing, we might actually find more quiet in the mind. And we talked about pranayama practices, bandhas, all there's all kinds of breath work that can help unlock the creativity within. And one last thing is yoga nidra. Yoga nidra really tap into the subconscious mind to create this deep, relaxed state that allows the subconscious thoughts and creative potential to come through. So if you have a yoga studio, if you have a trusted yoga friend or a teacher, please, take a class, go and explore and see what else is possible.
Thank you for that. I forgot. I forgot about Yoga Nidra.
Kay teaches yoga nidras on Sundays
Mhm.
online. So wherever you are, you can actually connect to her class. I teach, if you're an Equinox member, I teach at Equinox Yoga Nidra class on Wednesday nights at Upper West Side. So if you're a member, please come and check it out.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you. Thank you again, Nitza. It's been a pleasure. I feel like we just tapped, just the top sort of level. There was so much more to talk about, but thank you so much for joining us
Thank
on
you for your
We.
wisdom. Thank you for your,
Matters. Every little bit matters.
okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
Shall I,
for
much.
your
shall I
advice.
play out our music? Shall we do that? Let's do that. Let's do a little
Bye,
dance and then go write
Nessa.
a word. All right, here we go. There we
Bye.
go. Bye, Nitza. We're dancing.